welcome back. It's 11:45. This is the decision for the matter of the Licensing Act 2003, application for grant of premises licence, Rutland Arms Public House, 205 Francis Avenue, Southsea. All parties shall receive written confirmation of the decision and reasons. The decision. The subcommittee has considered very carefully the application for the grant of the premises licence. It gave due regard to the Licensing Act 2003, the licensing objectives, statutory guidance and the adopted statement of licensing policy. Two members of the subcommittee indicated that they had received representation direct from one of the parties to the hearing, but had not engaged with the correspondence, would not take it into consideration given its late submission, and therefore remained impartial and unbiased. The subcommittee was satisfied that it would continue to consider the application. It was noted that there had been an application for adjournment as the resident's objector's mother was in hospital and she had wished to address the subcommittee. The applicant was in attendance with legal representation and indicated their wish that the hearing proceed. The subcommittee was referred to Regulation 20 of the Licensing Act 2003, Hearings Regulations 2005, and in consideration of the public interest determined to proceed in the absence of the residents and on the basis that the written representation as properly submitted would be fully considered. The subcommittee considered the relevant representations, both written and given and expanded upon at the hearing by all parties. Human rights legislation and the public sector equality duty has been borne in mind whilst making the decision. The subcommittee noted that the application sought a shadow licence to protect the position of the freeholder. There had been no representations from responsible authorities and one resident objector. The application had amended the application to reduce the hours for exhibition of a film and indoor sporting events. During the course of the hearing, the formal representation of the resident was read out to the subcommittee. After having heard all of the above evidence, the subcommittee determined to grant the proposed application subject to conditions to implement the agreement reached between Environmental Health and the applicant and otherwise consistent with the operating schedule. Reasons. The subcommittee accepted advice that it was considering an application for a shadow licence and they were not that these were not review proceedings for the existing licence already in force. The subcommittee listened very carefully to residents' concerns in the written representations and has had to balance those concerns against the interest of the business. The subcommittee heard that the applicant had agreed with Environmental Health, and whilst the shadow licence is generally precisely the same as an existing licence, it had been agreed that the provision of indoor sporting events and exhibition of a film be reduced to 2,300 hours on any day. It was noted that the regulated entertainment is not authorised other than on special event days of which the police must receive notice and to which they have an absolute veto. The subcommittee heard from the resident that the concern related to live events with the dancing levels of noise from the premises, including dealing with bottles, use of the garden and the ability of residents to sleep in the area. The subcommittee noted that and was impressed by the level of engagement by the premises with the responsible authorities and trust that this shall continue in future in the event that the shadow licence may be activated. In the meantime, the subcommittee cannot ignore the fact that the historical or future perceived issues related to an entirely separate premises licence, which could be the subject of a review or any other action, for example, statutory noise nuisance, and which is not the subject of today's consideration. On balance, the subcommittee could see no reason to justify further restricting their shadow licence in the circumstances, and that it was therefore appropriate to grant the licence in the terms of sought. There is a right of appeal for all parties to the Magistrates' Court. Formal notification of this decision will be set out right in full, and that determines the end of this subcommittee at 11:49.
Thank you for your